Hello, Lorraine.
Hey Vince, how are you?
Yeah, good.
I was
How is
hoping
it?
to. On you go?
Yeah, I was going to say, how is it over there in Western Australia?
Yeah, it's all right. Um, that's us. Getting into the. Hold on, I'm still fixing the tech. Getting into the cooler weather.
Ah, yes. Yeah.
Cooler weather. Um, but yeah, life is good. I was hoping to just sneak on and be quiet, but I'm the only person here just yet because I'm a bit early, so I'm on the spotlight.
Yeah, you're not really early. No, it's 5 past 10. So yeah, we
Yeah,
should have.
okay.
Yeah, yeah. You don't have to talk if you don't want.
No, I'm all right. I'm all right. I could be
Mm.
doing me a break from the processing.
You keep yourself pretty busy, don't you?
Uh, I'm just back from a trip to India. Um, and I had a massive, I can only say, purge, if you like, a week long purge. And just had some massive shifts. This body's just spontaneously releasing. It's been doing that for months.
Right. Yeah.
So, like, I had massive big shifts this week and today. So, I've been super inspired today. So I've got
Ah,
this
good.
different energy running through me. So usually I'd be sitting here, tired, but I'm working away. So not it's good. It's good. I wouldn't
Hmm.
normally be, especially at this time. But
So tell me about these shifts.
it's just it's been happening now for about 9 months. Like the first few months, I would just have to all of a sudden pull over in the car, and I'd have massive grief at the body and the chest, like massive heaving. And that happened 3 or 4 times. And then there would be a gap and it would happen again. And then it would just be spontaneous. I'd have my daughter on swimming and then I'm like, oh my God, I need to go to the car. It's going to do it again. um, and then it's just been happening and it was happening again the weekend before I went to India. And then it was the same in the airport. And then sometimes it's just gentle tears. Sometimes it's heaving. Sometimes it's laughing. In India was massive um, food poisoning, and then actually really violent purges for about a week. So it's just really interesting. It's on one hand I'm in awe, but now it just keeps happening. I'm like, oh, it just becomes the norm. And now like that's what's happening. There's no story. Um, yeah, but
Does it
it's
feel?
it's bizarre though. It's bizarre.
Well, it's bizarre because there's no logical stories associated with it, probably. Yeah.
Mm.
Does it feel like release, re letting go of something?
Um, Yeah, like the big shifts in the chest were absolutely that was a howling grief and release. Sometimes it's not most of it's spurt of it's like sometimes it's just a gentle tear or compassion. I think the most of it's sadness. It's sadness and grief that's coming out, and it's usually like when I was in India, I was watching an alien movie, and I'll just be sitting there, and then all of a sudden it's it's not even a gentle peer, it's like a pop
Mm,
um, of emotion. Um, so it's interesting.
yeah.
Um, mm,
So one of the things that's I've realized here is that grief is sadness with stories. So grief is there's the bodily sensation part is sadness, but the stories are all about what shouldn't have been, what's lost, what's missed, what's gone that shouldn't be gone, etc. And if you don't have any stories, would you still describe that as grief, or would you describe it
yeah,
as sadness?
I'm only using those words to differentiate it because I just an experience of sadness to me is quiet.
Mm.
It's sad. It's gentle tears. Whereas this, the initial times was actually really quite painful,
Yep.
like almost a howling from the chest.
Yeah.
um,
Yeah.
and I guess the only word I had for it was grief,
Yep.
but
Sure. Yeah.
it might not be.
Yeah.
Um,
Yeah. I mean, it's not
yeah.
really relevant what it actually is,
Mm.
but yeah. Okay. So, would you describe it as violent?
The first couple of times, it was not so much violent, but actually painful in the chest bone area. Like it was,
So really
yeah,
intense.
forceful. Yeah, forceful. The
Mm.
first few times, yeah. Um,
So now, am I getting that it's kind of lost some of that forcefulness, but it's still
yeah.
there?
Now
Yeah.
there can be a gentle, just crying, or there's this popping. It's like a, I don't know how to say it. It's like a spontaneous popping.
Yeah. Yeah. I get that. I
um,
get what you mean. Yeah.
yeah, of emotion.
Yeah. So it's that partly describes that the suddenness of it,
Yeah,
but also there's this feeling of like a bubble
yeah.
going from
It's an
nothing to
intensity. Yeah,
yes, whoop,
yeah.
all of a sudden it's a fullness from nothingness to fullness really quickly. Yeah, yeah,
So yeah, I'm
yeah,
finding that really interesting.
yeah. And you
And
seem to be pretty relaxed about it these days.
yeah, now I'm just like, oh, it's doing what it's doing.
There it is
Um,
again. Yeah.
yeah. um,
Yeah. So I haven't had any experience with the Kundalini stuff, and you hear about that and you think, wow, that's got to be pretty amazing physically to go through that and psychologically as well, of course. But yeah, it's not something that I've experienced myself, so it's a bit foreign for me. Yeah. And I'm wondering whether this is kind of like a version of Kundalini stuff for you, but you're not describing it in a Kundalini way.
it doesn't feel energetic. It's just more like trauma healing.
Mm,
Vince, I believe.
yeah.
I believe,
Well,
and you've mentioned that to me before. It's the nervous system
catching up, yeah.
catching up,
Mm,
and I believe it's more like that. It feels more like yeah, just catching up to
yeah,
the energy, the caretaker energy, all these energies that have been held for years and years and years now,
sure.
identities
Yeah,
shifting one after the other after another, and there's a releasing in that, but it feels more like a trauma healing.
yeah, yeah. So when you say those words, trauma healing, that certainly suggests that the evolution of avoidance, evolution of distraction from that kind of stuff, is reversing itself now. So
Yeah,
yeah, there isn't so as the filters get taken away, stuff comes up and gets dissolved. It gets worked out. It gets released. Yeah,
yeah.
but there's always more.
Yeah, well,
Yeah.
I'm just like, oh my god, there cannot possibly be more.
Yeah. Well, it is there, and the reason that the story that I've got about it is that essentially it's the stuff that hasn't yet been triggered that is the more.
Yeah,
So as circumstances, and it can be ridiculous stuff, and you don't even realize it. It can be, you know, a shirt that somebody's wearing, or it can be the sound of a clock, or something, anything that associates the original early traumas with something can just suddenly release them and there's no reason to hold them down anymore. There's no reason
yeah,
to avoid them. So yeah, so they'll get further and further apart if that's the case, if that's what's happening, and so you'll have them less frequently. The intensity, though, in my experience with stuff is that the intensity doesn't reduce much, but the duration of them does. They'll come and go really quickly.
yeah, yeah. Duration does sometimes be a month between incidences, and they would go on for like half an hour each. and then it gets less intense. But then the last week there's been 4 or 5 pops, but they're all little,
Yeah,
little.
yeah.
But also,
So
I'm
tell us,
sitting now. Um, I'm sitting now. You know, I think before I seen this attachment to the one who's doing the work, the one who's healing. There was an identity
yeah,
around that,
yeah,
right?
yeah, yeah,
And now I'm
yeah,
just like just seeing it for what it is. There's no continuity. It's just popping
yeah,
and
yeah,
let it
excellent.
be.
Yeah. So that certainly sounds like the connection, the identification of it happening to a person is certainly changing. Yeah, good stuff. Mm.
Yeah, I think there's loads of all these wee hidden identities popping up. There was the one who's healing, and then there was the one who knows. You know, the one who knows about awakening, and the one it's just mad
Yes, yeah,
when you start to see it, and it comes back again, of course,
sure.
in a different
And
guise.
and that you can laugh at it is really valuable, really important stuff, you know. So it's not like those apparent identities simply stop altogether, you know. But it is that they we stop taking them seriously. We stop taking any notice of them in particular. We go, well, okay, you know, that's just the old way of doing things, and maybe it's appropriate, and maybe it's not, you know. So yeah, it's not like you can expect them to those identities to disappear forever, but you certainly will get to the point where they're seen to be just an illusion that's created by circumstances, not anything serious. Yeah.
It's certainly interesting
Good stuff.
watching this
Yeah.
old mind.
Yeah. Oh well, it was good to hear about that. That is interesting, isn't it? Yeah. Where are you up to, Jed?
Yeah. Well, I'm just sitting in our van. We're on our way to do some camping. Me and my girlfriend, and she's just popped in to get some stuff. So I'm probably not going to be able to speak for long, but nice to say hello. And yeah, quite. I mean, it's always quite intense getting ready to go on these trips. We haven't. This is like the first one of the year, and getting everything in the van, and yeah. So it's been quite intense today, and kind of realizing that we've got different ideas of what we're going to do, what it's going to be like when we where we go. But I was pleased to see that when I realised it's a familiar situation. My initial kind of response was like digging my heels in, and she's wrong. But but yeah, it's nice to see that that didn't stay around for too long, and then I thought, oh, maybe I can let go of these ideas and desires and attachments to the desires, I suppose. And
Mm,
so it's yeah, it's improved.
good stuff. Yeah. Well, that certainly opens you up to a whole lot of stuff, doesn't it? You know,
Right.
new experiences. Yeah.
Well, yeah, I suppose they're always new, aren't they? But it's certainly very familiar. But they don't come around so often, though. It's we don't go on a lot of trips, um, but when we do, our stuff definitely bumps up against each other's stuff. Yeah,
Yeah. So the opportunity to see what you think is important.
yeah, that's right. And it just seems so obvious, like I'm thinking, oh, we're going down to this lovely area where there's beautiful beaches and we'll just chill out and hang out. And then she said, oh, I was thinking we could go and visit so and so, and then we could go into this town because there's some nice shops there. And I was like, what? That's wrong. That's not.
That's not chilling out, is it?
But that's what, that's what she wants. That's what she needs. And I mean, I guess I don't actually need anything really. I don't think at the minute, of these things that I'd like to do. I've got
Mm.
this little fantasy of what it would be like, on a quiet beach for the day. It's just a fantasy, isn't it? And
Yeah. Well, it's an interesting opportunity, isn't it? So I wonder if you can go visit or go to the shops and still be chill.
well, that's it, isn't it? It requires me to let go of the idea that I need these other things, that we should be doing these other things, and that, it's wrong
Mm.
to go to the shops. I don't know.
Yeah.
That's the way I'm seeing it.
Yeah. Yeah. Any opportunity to catch that I am right is is good stuff. Yeah.
That's right. Yeah, and it seems to particularly get triggered for me with my partner, I think.
Of course, of course. Yeah, that's her job to trigger you. Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah.
And the amazing thing is, of course, this is all fantasy about the future. God knows what will happen. You could end up taking a right turn or a left turn halfway down there and being somewhere entirely different. Who knows what was going to happen? Yeah.
Yeah, that's right.
See, I
Yeah, no,
say, you're going.
go on. That's okay.
There you go.
Well, I was just saying it's been probably getting on for a year since we've had a trip out together, like a little holiday. And these kind of events are kind of like markers, I suppose. Like it, it's interesting to see different responses happening and different attitudes happening to the
Mm.
things, that I've been a bit stuck with for a few years. You know, it's like you always say you can't see the grass growing, but this is like we've just come back to have another look at the grass after a year and see what it's like. Anyway,
Yeah.
Sam's back now, so I'm gonna say goodbye.
Okay. All right.
Yeah.
Good luck.
Yeah.
So I'm still enjoying your stories and your songs, Vince.
Well, good, good. Yeah, I'm kind of feeling like I'm improving with some of them. I've had a little bit of feedback, but I just posted some today, and I'm a month ahead of myself. So
Oh, very
yeah,
good.
a little while before they kind of catch up, and yeah. But I'm intent on making the songs a bit more upbeat and a bit happier, and using different voices as well now. I will see. Yeah, and the stories I want to be more poetic and a bit shorter. So
Mm.
we'll see how they go. They're an evolution. Yeah, but hopefully um they touch something. They hopefully they can have a beneficial effect somehow.
They're always a reminder just to ask what's here now.
Mm.
Mm.
Yeah, there's that aspect of them is big. I think that they are a reminder.
Mm.
Because they are getting a bit repetitive, and it doesn't feel repetitive, but it's like, yes, we've got to keep on focusing on a fairly small area of things
Mhm.
as well. Yeah. So that you're enjoying it is excellent. That says something to me, that yeah. And of course when we do enjoy something, it gets through, doesn't it? We
Yeah.
let it in. Yeah.
But it's also the just the recognition of there's Vince keeping us on the path. Or the non path. Yeah. There's my daily reminder to come back here.
Well, it's also Vince keeping himself reminded as
Yeah.
well.
Yeah. So what's sort of been coming up for people? I've not really had a chance to look at any of the meeting recordings.
Oh, it sounds like work to have to remember that. Uh,
That's all right.
yeah, when I think of specific people and so on, it's like each person is operating in a different time capsule to me, so it's like where they are, that seems to be taking forever for them. Uh, Whereas each time I speak to them, it's kind of nice and fresh, but it seems like they're chewing the same cud, so
Yeah.
to speak. Yeah, frequently. And even though we see changes, they're little changes and they seem to be slow. But yeah. So let's ask Jenny, how have you changed, Jenny, since we first started talking? Have you noticed anything different? Do you respond to things differently?
Yeah, yeah, I'm definitely going to agree to that. Not as often as I would like, but you saying that it does. What did you just say about chewing the cud? Yeah, it feels like nothing really changes drastically enough.
Yeah.
Yeah, like what I want, and I don't even know what I want. So that it's,
Yeah. All right. So tell me this and this is a weird question. It's a trick question, but it's a genuine question. Is that tell me what's the first thing that comes to mind when I ask you, are you awake yet? You're allowed to
no,
laugh. You can have a laugh. Yeah.
no,
Well, why not? How do you know
because
you're not?
I'm so identified with myself still.
So how do you know you're identified?
Of because I still feel like Jenny, and still have a lot of um, conditioning around. Oh, I'm catching myself. Like the conditioning is not stopping. Oh, you're gonna say I'm not. Am I witnessing it though? Right. I. That's where I don't think I'm awake, is because like I can't pull away to witness it. Oh, I'm. I'm it still.
Right, but you're telling me that it's happening, so there must be a witness to it. I mean, if you weren't aware of it happening, you wouldn't know that it was happening, would you?
Yeah, I suppose.
You wouldn't describe it objectively like this. You would be telling me about it from the inside, not the outside, so to speak.
But I don't. I don't know if I'm just being conceptual from what I've.
Oh, okay, let's kill that one. All right. Of, we're all conceptual, and you can't have an experience without having a concept about it. Right? So you can't separate those two things. So of course you're going to be conceptual as well as more.
Okay.
So this idea that it's either conceptual or experiential is bullshit. as far as I'm concerned.
Really?
Yeah,
Wow.
it's always both to one degree or another. It varies, but yeah.
Okay. Because I'm expecting a different experience.
Right. So here's a good logic question for you. If you've never been awake, how do you know what being awake is? And do you need to know what awake is to say that you're not awake?
Oh, that's a mine.
Yeah. I don't expect an answer, but you
Okay.
know, what I expect is that that'll fuck with your mind.
Yeah, it did.
Yeah. So would you imagine that an awake person would never identify?
Yes.
Well, I think that's bullshit too.
Okay.
Of course, an awake person will identify. What might be different between an awake person and a not awake person with identification is that the awake person would be aware of it.
Hmm. That's what I'm missing then.
But you are aware of it. You just told me you're identifying. How can you tell me you're identifying if you're not aware of it?
Oh my. But I can't get out of it.
Oh,
I
what
know
do
I
you mean get out of it? It would not have it happen at all. But we just said awake people identify sometimes. So you're going to hang on to the idea that an awake person never identifies.
now that's what's
Okay.
been simmering upstairs, yeah.
Yeah, yeah. Well, you know something I don't know. Yeah, look, I tell you, the impression that you get from reading and YouTubes and whatever is not really related to reality. I'm not saying it's not. There is some reality in it, but it's a snapshot of something that gives a false impression. Do you think Shandy never gets the shits with anything?
No, I actually you're no, I don't. I think he's very human. I didn't mean it that way, but no, yeah.
Yeah, yeah. But if he does, it doesn't last very long, and he sees
No.
it pretty quickly. And it might
Right.
happen only very occasionally, but still, you know, maybe he's at a point where he doesn't. I don't know. I don't know about that point. But, yeah, to my way of thinking, it's going to keep on happening, although a lot less and a lot less duration. It won't last as long and so on, but still, yeah. So
Okay,
what I
maybe
would,
that's comparing it to is the frequency of getting pulled into identification.
right, right.
Yeah.
So, so would you imagine that there's a point where you can say, ah, I only get pulled into that once a week. Then I can say, okay, I'm awake, or twice a week, or once a day. Do you reckon there's a point where you can say, after that I'm awake, and before that I'm not?
I suppose, yeah, in my head, yeah, I would think if it's, yeah, you caught me there. Yeah, and I know that's not what your intentions are, but put it this way, I'd rather my experience be less frequent,
Sure, of
right?
course. Wouldn't we all?
Mm, mm.
What about getting to a point where you look forward to the next time you get triggered? because it gives you an opportunity that hasn't been around for a little while.
I can't see myself getting to there
Yeah.
because I really don't know what to do with the triggers of life.
Yeah. Okay. So now we getting to something a bit gutsy here. It's not about being triggered. It's about how we respond to that when we get triggered.
I
The
guess
way
that's what I mean too. I just there's no gap for me to respond differently at this point very
right.
often.
So are we acknowledging that maybe we respond to being triggered a little differently now than we used to, say, 3 months ago?
Yes. Yeah, I can attest. Yes. Yeah.
Yeah, so logically speaking, then if that continues, that trend,
Hmm.
we're going to get to a point where they thin out a bit.
Yep.
Yeah.
Yes. Yep.
So if I describe this idea, this concept, this story about being awake as somebody that has the tools to get value out of whatever happens. So rather than get lost in it and spiral off into a state that we might call suffering, they actually take the initial response and use that to develop skills for future triggering, future things.
Sounds wonderful.
Hmm. Well, it sounds like that's what you're doing, albeit not so blatant and noticeable, but still you acknowledge that things are different now to what they were 3 months ago. So logically, that is happening for you.
Hmm. Yeah, I'd have to agree.
The weird thing is that people say, "Oh, I'm impatient. I want it now. I want it to happen quicker."
Yeah, yeah.
And then
That's just
they go
no.
about slowing it down.
Yeah, I just that I already know. It's just oh geez, it'll like I it'll happen when it'll happen, and
Well, wait a minute, wait a minute. Now you're talking about it. What do you mean it will happen? What's this it thing? Is it you're gonna you're expecting a big epiphany that will change everything, are you?
um, I'm not going to say no to that, but I do know that that's not required or that's not what's going to happen. No, I don't know that.
You don't know that
Um,
it's not going to happen. That's right. Yeah, it can happen.
but I don't
Mm,
have that same idea that I did
mm,
years ago. Like it's something's going to happen and it's going to be poof and it's going to be gone.
mm.
And then
No,
I'll just
see, it doesn't make sense that a lifetime of conditioning will suddenly be gone.
yes, it doesn't make sense. Like
But it
it's
is,
just
yeah. But you do hear about those experiences where things are.
yeah.
We have a honeymoon period that where things are lovely.
Yeah.
Yeah, sure. Yeah.
Yeah.
And we
Yeah.
all
But
want that, you know. Yeah, I used to get really jealous of people that had those. I wanted to have that again and again and again.
yeah, I
Yeah.
bet. But that's just not realistic and
Yeah.
I don't think it is because it's just so it's
So here's an interesting one. I was talking to somebody the other day, and they took MDMA. They took this drug, and it had an effect on them that was you would describe it as pretty much like being awake, you know, in terms of the way they related to what was going on. The way they related to their mind and to their sensory input and so on. It was pretty awake, you know. but they were telling me about it about a week after it happened. And as they were telling me about it, they were re-experiencing some of that. It wasn't
Mm.
leftover drug in the system. It was something that, right? And so when we talked about what might have been going on, we talked about how from one angle we said, well, maybe what the drug did was did something to the sense of self. It kind of put it in the background. But that didn't click with them. That didn't seem quite right because it was like it wasn't it, but it was certainly like the sense of self wasn't there dominating things. But the really interesting thing was that they were re-experiencing some of it simply as they told me about it,
Mm.
which shouts out really loudly to me that the possibility, the capability of that is always there.
Right. Yes.
But somehow or other we hang on to this sense of self and the problems that it causes
Yes. Yeah.
for dear
See,
life almost. Yeah.
I was thinking of trying that too, or I guess mushrooms. I don't know, just to have that experience
Sure.
to
Yeah.
see what it
I
would
don't
be
see any
like.
problems. Do it with somebody. Don't do it by yourself. And especially
No,
with mushrooms, you've got to watch how much you take. You don't want to take too much. Otherwise, it won't be a pleasant at
no, yeah,
all.
I don't want to go down that road.
Yeah. But with somebody that looks after you, somebody you trust, somebody that you feel good with, that's good value. Yeah. Yeah. And if you do, and even if you don't, if you have a how can I put it, a physical experience of the controller being in the background, right? No, but that's not your experience. That's just a description. The experience will be, look, the experience, as much as this sounds woo-wooish, the experience will be love. The experience will be your relationship to everybody and everything will be non-separate. It'll be love. And if the thought occurs to you when that's happening, anchor that feeling. Get a hold of what that sink into that feeling and not analyze it intellectually, but anchor it to the body experience that's going on. And then all you have to do is remember that and it will happen again. To maybe not to the same degree, but it will certainly happen. And that
Mm,
that shows you that it's always available, that it's always there. I mean, you've heard people. One of the lines in this game is frequently that certain things are always there underneath. There's always peace.
yeah.
There's no matter what we're experiencing, underneath all of that is peace. Well, it's a metaphor, but it's real. It's always accessible. That's a lot more sensible way to look at it. And so it just takes a shift in the angle that we look at things from in order to experience that.
Hmm.
And it's easy to logically see why we hang on for dear for grim life or death, whatever you want to put it, to to identification and so on, because that's what we've been taught brought us here, got us this far, even though it hasn't. We've
Yeah.
been taught that big time, yeah. And the
I
difference
also,
between doing it from a point of control or doing it from another perspective is a world apart. Yet on the outside, it might seem like the same thing.
mm, yeah, that control I still find it hard to see that I'm not doing anything. Like I can't really. I get it. Like I don't know how I move my hand. That's fine. I can say that, but that doesn't change my the way I'm experiencing things.
Yeah,
Like it
yeah,
doesn't help me discern that it just happened and I had nothing to do with it, and it doesn't help me to see
right.
that.
Okay, yeah. So that's a good one. That's a classic. That's that one. Right. So it's the ramifications of that that is of value for you. Right. So that you see it now, that it feels like there's somebody in control is perfectly fine. We're not trying to get rid of it seems like, because it will seem like until it doesn't. Right? But we recognize that it seems like is a world of different to it actually is.
Hmm.
So you know that you didn't control your hand the way it moves. You didn't control how your head moves. You didn't control getting up and walking and so on and so on. Of course, you can look back and you can say, oh, I could have done that differently. But it's a stupid story because you couldn't have done it differently because you did it the way you did it. Right? But of course, there's this idea, there's a story that, oh, yes, I could have walked around that way instead of around that way.
Hmm.
Well, sure, you could have in the story, but when we're talking about what actually happened, it could have only happened the way it happened because that's the way it happened. So there is no going back in time and doing it differently. You can't undo what you've done. It can't be done again. Only in future can it be done. So in future you could do it differently, sure. But will you? Who knows? You'll do it how conditions dictate it's done.
So wherein lies the freedom or the of realizing that then? Like what is, I guess I could ask myself that question, how is it going to help me?
Yeah. So how much of your life now is tied up in I could have done it better?
Oh, I'd have to pay attention. I'm
Yeah.
gonna say a lot, a good chunk. I should have done this. I should
Yes.
not have done that. That kind of,
Exactly,
yeah.
exactly right. So therein lies the freedom of recognizing that hands move, feet walk, teeth get brushed, whatever happens, happens. And as a result of that, the idea of success or failure is a crazy story. Nothing more than a crazy story. You can't be successful. You can't fail because you just respond to conditions. And you can't not. You don't have a choice about that. So is there not an incredible freedom in our fantasy living that there is no such thing as success or failure?
I guess so.
Right.
What else is there to do then, or worry about, or
Nothing. Exactly. Absolutely nothing. Nothing to worry about, nothing to do.
I wouldn't want to use that as a bypass, though.
No, sure. So it's not to say that you won't worry and you won't find that you want to do things or that you imagine needing to do things.
Mm.
That'll all still happen. But you'll also recognize that that is just the way you've been conditioned. And so you'll hold it more lightly.
Oh, would it okay? What if there are things I would rather not be happening that are, and would like to see them different, play out
Sure.
differently than they are?
Okay, so we have the experience that you'd rather not and that you'd like to see it differently. And nothing wrong with that. But do you hold it lightly or do you give yourself a really hard time over it?
Oh, I don't hold it lightly.
Yeah. Because you're still behaving as if you think you've got control. So you're not experiencing that freedom that you talked about. So, so you this fantasy, you're hammering a nail and you miss and hit your thumb. Oh God, that hurts. You hit your thumb with a hammer. There is pain as a result of that. The thumb is pulsating painfully, right? And you can relate to it in a whole lot of different ways. You might go and put it under warm water to ease it, or you might bandage it, put some pressure on it to ease it, or whatever. You can relate directly to the pain that's happened. You can't undo it. You can't take back the accident that happened, right? But you can do something directly with the pain, or you can start swearing at yourself for being an idiot and doing it. Does that add to the pain? Does that turn the pain into something more than just the pain of your thumb? Right now,
Yeah.
now your whole body is all clenched up, and you might as well start hitting yourself on the head because you're so stupid that you hit your thumb with a hammer. God, yeah. So there's a world of difference, and until you experience it, and I hate to wish you're hitting yourself on the thumb with a hammer, but if you take that pulsing thumb and relate to it in a certain way, you're not going to actually call it pain. We'll never go as far as to say it's pleasant, but it becomes something different. It becomes the throbbing of blood. Right?
Mm.
We're not saying pain anymore. We can feel the blood pulsing in the thumb. And then the next thing you realize is that somebody has said something to you and you're talking to them. And then you come back to your thumb and then you go, hang on, while I was talking to them, I wasn't even aware of the pain in my thumb. Isn't that interesting? It's certainly hurting now. I'm thinking about it. But while I was doing something else, while I was talking to somebody, it didn't exist. Wow, that's incredible. So there's a lot of experiences that we don't have normally because of the way we've been conditioned.
Mm.
So can you kind of get a feel for a softer approach to whatever happens?
I could get a feel of it. Yeah, yeah. I could see it. The benefits of being softer.
Yeah. And we learn skills. We develop our ability to have that perspective where we all of a sudden we know we don't know what we used to think we knew, and that softens everything nicely as well. So stop being so hard on yourself. See, everything that turns up is just this. And even if you are giving yourself a hard time over something, it's part of this. But guess what? The moment you realize you're doing it, something will change. So back to the circle, back to where we started, the awake person has all of the experiences that you have, but they relate to it in a much softer way. And the consequence of that is that they experiences, the unpleasant experiences, get further and further apart.
And I think that's the goal. I think that's what the seeking's all about.
Well,
It's just a
it's not the goal. It can seem to be the goal,
okay.
right? So the whole point is not to avoid suffering, because we can use bypassing to do that, or we can take painkillers to do that, or whatever, but there are consequences to doing it that way. So what our goal is to get a taste of acceptance, of surrender to whatever turns up. And partly when we're doing that, we're recognizing that we don't actually know what it is that's turned up. So we've straight away we've softened things because we go, oh, I used to think I knew what this was. Now all of a sudden I can see that there's a whole lot more to it than I used to, and I don't actually know. I can't define it like I used to. It's much more complex than I used to think it was. And that softens things as well.
So I feel like I'm missing out on life somehow.
Say that again.
I feel that I'm missing out on life somehow if I just accept the way things are because my life is so boring. But yet,
Okay.
but yet I don't like to be busy.
Yeah. Yeah.
I love not being having to interact all the time with people. Like I just like
Oh,
it,
me too. Absolutely. I get that. Yeah, for sure. Yeah.
but then I think, oh, I'm missing out on life if because I'm such a hermit.
No, you're missing out on life for, I mean, I don't know enough to say why exactly, but it's not because you're a hermit. No, as a hermit, I mean, I can really appreciate what you say about that. And life is incredibly interesting and busy and full when I'm sitting by myself, apparently doing nothing. And so it doesn't get boring. I am never bored. I can't remember being bored. Maybe when I was a kid, but that was so long ago, I don't remember. But yeah, so no, but it's like this is what comes to mind. If you take the paper, the cardboard center out of a roll of toilet paper and put that and look at the world through that, and that's what people who are not awake do. They see
Mhm.
everything in a really focused way, and they put meaning on it. Everything that they see, they apply a story of meaning to, right? And the difference is that people who wake up take that away and they can see. I mean, I can see my hands out of the corner of my eyes, even though I can also see them on the video. Right? So we've got this huge perspective of life, and everything is really interesting when we're looking at it from that perspective. And so that's how I would. The reason that I would say is that you feel you're missing out is because you're still doing a bit of this when you looking at things. So the thing about not knowing means that everything is interesting. Oh, look at that. Oh, look at that. Oh, wow. You know, you never noticed the details of things before. All of a sudden, you slow things down and you see them in slow motion, and they take on a different appearance. Grass
Yeah.
isn't just grass anymore, you know. It's a
Yeah.
whole lot of really individual blades that face in different directions, and they all face the sun and move around with the sun in the day, and things you never noticed before. Life is really exciting and really interesting.
I guess it's the societal condition, the beliefs, and the what,
Yeah,
like, everything that you've been taught, seen around,
exactly. And
telling
you said
you
it. Everything you've
what.
been taught. And the
Yeah.
worst thing we could do to anybody is to tell them that they know everything that they need to know.
Yeah.
Well, yeah, that's an interesting one because I say that I say I know everything I need to know, but I also know I know nothing. But I there is a feeling that I don't need to know the specifics of things, but if I do, I can find out. So it's easy. But I'm not full of knowledge. You know, I am full of a whole lot of useless knowledge, though. I notice.
Ah, ditto.
Yeah, yeah. Yeah. It's too easy for us to hone in on specifics with this stuff instead of just go, oh, just soften up and relax and recognize that you don't actually know anything. And then everything becomes interesting and life itself changes as a result of that. Yeah. I'm imagining that you're feeling right now some of that softness. Yeah.
Yeah.
There's the look on your face, and yeah, something, I don't know what it was, something told me. Yeah.
Yeah. There's like a sadness though, like,
It can be,
yeah.
but here's an interesting one. Sadness can be really sweet. It can be
Yeah, it feels like
a
that.
really nice, yeah.
Yeah, it doesn't feel like, oh, it's like a sweet sadness. Exactly.
Mm.
Yeah. Yeah.
And we don't have to know what it's about.
No.
There it is. Just
Yeah.
enjoy it, experience it,
Yeah.
let it
Yeah.
go. Yeah,
I wanted to figure it out. You're right. And I was like, it's too
yeah,
exhausting.
yeah. That's the old way. Yeah, that wanting to figure it out, wanting to know, and can you see that metaphorically we kind of want to stuff it into a bottle of some kind or into a container,
I
and
want to
with that
label it.
knowing of it, yeah,
Yeah.
and
This
that
is what
and
that
that
is.
and all of a sudden we've lost it. It's not there
Yeah.
anymore.
Yeah. 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 Yeah.
So with this beautiful softness comes this idea that we don't we're not really interested in this waking up thing. It's a non-issue. We don't need to wake up. It's just maybe it's a good goalpost when we're seekers, but at a certain level, at a certain point, we realise that well, there's no attainment, there's no finish line, there's no certificate, nothing. We're never going to be anywhere that anybody else will recognise. What we're after is just really enjoying this life that we have.
Yeah. Yeah. Exactly. Yes. Yes. Yeah.
And so
Yes.
from that point of softness, we start to appreciate when we get triggered as an opportunity to recognize how we're hanging on, where we're not soft. And it's almost always in identification.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. And then I guess, I'm going to ask this, the thing to do then is just to be more
just to just to recognize when you're doing or when you're wanting to do. Yeah.
and be softer on yourself was another
Yeah.
side of
Can I?
response.
I'd love to share a wee story. I watched a
Mhm.
live coaching call. Two things I'd like to share. I watched this live coaching call and it just really hit me at the. So there was a young man being coached by a coach, and the young man was saying, you know, what I want is I want to earn $250,000 a year. And the coach says, what do you think that will give you? And he said, well, freedom. And he said, well, where are you not free now? And he says, oh, well, if I had that money, I could do what I want when I want. And, he just challenged him and everything. He was like, well, can you not do that now? And he was like, well, yeah. And he kept asking him, where was it not? And he just kept realising that he could do anything. There was nothing that he couldn't do without that money than with the money. But the point of the story was, so the guy then kept saying, so all I have to do then is be present. And the coach says, well, that sounds like a to-do list again in the way of freedom. And he says, right, so all I have to do then is be mindful of that. And he says, again, there's another to-do list on that freedom that's there. And what was realised through that was the only thing that was separating the man from freedom was his thoughts about it. It was really, really profound for me. It just landed on so many levels, which it was very cool.
Yeah.
It was very cool because we also, so all I have to do then is, all I have to do then is, all I have to do then is when we just stop.
Mm.
So that was pretty cool. And another thing, just on the back of what you were saying, Jenny, was I heard this, just a really simple comment being said to somebody else on this journey, and they said, I don't think I'm awake. And he said to her, what is it that's looking out of your eyes? And that was it. Just what is it that's looking out of your eyes? That awakeness, that awareness. What is that? And again, it was another just stop moment. I don't know if that's
Yeah.
helpful or not, but they were profound things
No,
for me to hear.
absolutely. I do that once in a while. It's like, but uh I can't stay there like for more than a second maybe.
Yep.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
It's very hard to
Yeah.
stay as the seeing.
Mm.
And I think it also freaks me out a bit. Maybe more so fear, or it's like, what the fuck? What? It's like, no. It's like, what do you mean? That kind of thing. The resistance to just letting it, trying it more, being there. Because to not be that non-existent, what I believe I am, for that to not be there, I think terrifies me, even though I say it doesn't. No, I'm pretty sure that I'm scared shitless of that. But yet I want it. Yeah.
Hand that back over to
Yeah,
Vince. Yeah.
yeah, yeah. I'm bursting
Sorry.
here to say something. Yeah, yeah. So, so that non-existence. Do you think you're moving from existence into non-existence if you were to go down this path or whatever?
No, I know I'll still be here. There will be here-ness.
I mean, I get it, and I take very seriously that you say that there is fear of non-existence. Uh, but are you not? What when obviously we're not talking about non-existence of the body, are we?
No.
No. So whatever it is that we're talking about non-existence from, does it have existence now? So let's say that what you're talking about, that having existence, is a belief in an I,
Hmm.
right? That's likely the case, yeah.
Yeah.
If there's not actually any I, what we've got is a belief in an I, and that saves you from confronting the fear of not having a belief in an I or having a belief in no I, however you want to put it. So if you recognize it as a belief in an I, I'm happy for you to keep that forever and ever. You don't need to get rid of that belief in the I, except that it's a bit hard to have a belief when you know it's a belief. So I'm happy for you to continue to have the sense of an I, the illusion of an I, recognizing that it's a sense of or an illusion of. But we're not actually changing anything. There is no I there to be lost. All there is a belief in one. And it's not even really a belief in it, is there? It is an experience of a sense of an I that can do things, that has control and makes choices. It's just a sense of an I.
Well, the challenging side of that is that's fine at home alone. But when I interact, I'm referred to as this person, these
Yeah,
memories. Like that is just puts you right back in it
fine,
again.
right? Well, what I'm saying is keep all that stuff under those circumstances. You don't have to believe that it's real in order to do it. I mean, do you think the person down the shop thinks that I'm an I? I'm a person when I'm paying for me groceries or whatever? Of course they think I'm an I. Well, I'm not going
Yeah.
to tell them I'm not an I. Yeah, they'd laugh, wouldn't they? They'd go, "Who are you? What are you, crazy man?" Yeah. So it's appropriate that you behave as if there's an I when you're communicating, when you're at work, when you're shopping, when you're whatever, partying. But you don't have to believe it is real in order to behave as if. So do you think I'm any less free when I'm down the shops?
I don't know. I'm going to say no.
No. Well, I don't feel less free. But I mean, freedom isn't something I think about anywhere, there or here or anywhere else. When I'm talking to
Mm,
you about it, I probably do. But
mm,
essentially, when I'm not talking to you, it's a non-issue. I don't even think about it. So we don't want to take away the usefulness of the way society sees you.
right.
We just want to recognize that it's a bullshit story. So those who believe in the story, they don't experience that freedom.
No.
Those who behave as if it's there, but know it's not actual, they experience freedom. Or rather, in actual fact, you could say they don't experience the constriction.
Mm, mm, mm.
So here's a classic one. This is I frequently say to my friends and they don't know anything about me being awake or anything like that. I frequently say to them, I believe in happy wife, happy life. Right? Now some of them will see me as being a slave to my wife, right? And others will see it. I don't know how they see it actually, but I'm imagining that that's the way they see things. The way I see it is, I go with the flow. If my wife says time to walk the dog, well, fine. Let's time to walk the dog. It's not acquiescence. It's not being a slave as such. It is just going what life puts in front of me.
Ah,
And
big
therein
difference.
is the freedom. That's right.
Big
Same
difference.
outward behavior, but
Yeah.
coming from a different place.
Yeah. It's just what's in front of you
Hmm.
without all the additional stories of why do I have to fucking do this? I don't want to do that. Why, la
Exactly.
la la la
Yeah.
la la. Oh my gosh.
Yeah.
Just do it. Shut up. But that's being hard on yourself again. See?
Well,
Uh,
it's so it's part of that is though that there has developed, and has been a bit of an evolution. There has developed um, a philosophy that says life shows me how to move, where to go, what to do, and so consequently there is a looking for the signals that life is offering.
mm,
So there's a willingness about it that there is no restraint. There is no, oh shit, I've got to do it.
mm. Wow, that's definitely a one wonderful way to look at your day and finding it interesting. It's like, you want me to do this now? Really?
Mm,
I don't know. Is that an approach that I could obviously guess I can try it and see how the different responses.
treat it as an experiment.
Yeah, that's exactly what I was trying to get out. Yeah, an experiment. Yeah. And then I suppose I'm looking for the stories around things when they start.
Well, that can take up a fair bit of energy too.
Yeah.
In a lot of cases, it's a case of, well, I don't really care what's behind it. I don't need
Yeah.
an explanation. Yeah.
I mean, the stories that might come in if if the experiment isn't uh, front and center at the time and I forgot about the experiment. And it sounds so confusing right now.
Yeah, and I'm hearing what you're saying. Yeah.
Okay, good. And then, I continue on with the the usual bantering in the head and all of this and that. And
That
then
will happen until you realize it's happening. The moment you realize it's happening, you'll go, oh, okay, yeah,
just let it go.
yeah, yeah,
Not worry
yeah,
about why it's come up and the resistance to what it is that that life put in front
yeah,
of me. Not worry about any of that shit. Just
yeah.
off you go.
So it's not as quite as simplistic as I make it out to be. When I first say that, there is a realization. Let's say my wife says it's time to walk the dog, but I'm still in a meeting. I'll say no
Okay. Thank you.
because
And
yeah, life is telling me that this is what I want to do.
okay.
So it's not a case of pure acquiescence all the time because
Okay.
life can give me two signals at the same time, and one can come from this body,
Right.
right?
Right.
So if this body
So
is
there's
really tired or really sore or really something,
so there's
I'll
some
listen to
discernment
that. Yeah,
that will take place if there's two options
yeah,
being presented, right?
yeah,
And my conditioning will probably win out or
yeah,
whatever my body needs.
yeah.
Hmm. It does make it does present life to be interesting when looking at it that side, looking at it through that way. It really does.
Mm.
I just hope to remember that.
Well, again, yeah, hope to, but just realize that whatever turns up is just what's turned up. So nothing can be right or wrong or good or bad. Well, that's not actually the way you experience it, but recognize that even if you start arguing with yourself, that's just turned up. And as soon as you realize you're doing it, it'll change. Anyway, see what happens, Jenny.
Yeah, 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 I look forward to the day. I
Good
do.
one. Mm.
It's late for you, eh?
Yeah, getting a bit late. Yeah, but I want to talk to
Yeah.
Dom before we go. Yeah.
Oh, good. Okay, I didn't realize somebody else was here. Take it away, Dom. Thanks, Lorraine.
How are you, Dom?
Yeah, I'm enjoying listening to you guys. Um, yeah, it's interesting because there was that shift that I had like a couple of months ago, or maybe 3 months ago, when we talked about. I had this sort of. It was weird how it came out of the blue, but it was this sort of. I had this thing where it's like, oh yeah, I'm going to do this meeting, and then I'm going to go to the gym, then I'm going to do this, I'm going to do that, and you just encouraged me to like observe. I can't remember how you put it, but like observe my inclination towards different things, and it just something happened and it just really freed up. And I got a little bit sort of feel of that a minute ago when you were talking to Jenny, when you were talking about um, the experiment of just sort of seeing where the day takes you, kind of. I can feel that physically, sort of a release, just to sort of kind of remember to allow, to trust somehow, if that's the right word. Um, yeah. Um, I also related to this whole thing about, today I'm here. It's a super hot day in London. It's like 28 degrees. I just went, my brother got married yesterday. He had the full ceremony. I took photos. So it was a very sociable, very busy day. And I was kind of working in a way. Um, even though I was kind of unofficial, I'm not a professional photographer. Um, and I find those, I'm an introvert, so like that kind of scenario is quite demanding, quite draining. I feel tired the next day. And I had a meeting with a few people today. I had a recovery meeting. It was really nice this morning. And then quite a few people were going on a hike, and I was like, hike or go home and get on Vince's meeting, and there was that, could see that thing happening. And I was seeing if I could do that thing of like, a decision will happen. So try not to sort of get pulled into thinking about it in a way. 'Cause, but even as I was sat down, I was a bit like, oh, there's only a couple of people on the meeting, and those people are all out there walking in the sunshine. So that sort of FOMO thing was sort of happening. I was just noticing all of that, my brain sort of just chattering away and all that sort of. And then, I think I've been talking, as you know, I've been talking to you about this kind of project that my short film is, I've just done the sound mix, so that's all kind of done now, which is really nice. But well, I've got a few projects, but one of them is this thing about my parents that I'm talking to them about the time back in the late 60s. And so that's been quite very loaded, and it's exploring in a way the story, their core stories that they have about themselves, that sort of how they triggered each other, but also it's really interesting how angry I got at one point, not during the conversation, but one morning, all this old stuff had come up about how angry I was towards my mother. Um, and it sort of took me right back to being a little kid, just being furious with something. And there was this whole thing about being weak, not wanting her to be weak, not wanting to be weak myself, and all of this. So there's a lot that's been sort of stirring around, but it all feels okay. You know what I mean? It's not like I don't feel overwhelmed, or I don't feel sort of like, that I'm getting entangled in it or whatever. It feels quite sort of clean, for want of a better word. Um, yeah, and I totally identify with this thing of like, yeah, so what to do next? Because sometimes I have this question. But I mean, you're giving exercises every morning. I did the exercise, the exercise where it was like, look at something, and then your exercise this morning, I know you do them ahead of time, so you probably don't know which ones are coming out. But the one this morning was like, look at something and then notice if you think there's a you seeing, and then try and identify what that you is made out of in terms of sensations or whatever. And I definitely, there's a sense that there's visual, there's an image, and then there's this feeling of something this side of the image that is, and it seems to be some kind of physical contraction, which is like trying to hold something together, or like there's this subtle holding on or something. And that seems to be what I'm, my mind is telling me that means there's a me here, this side of the image, if you know what I mean. So that was quite a good experiment this morning. I like that one. Yeah, that's it. So lots of stuff that's
Right.
sort of
Good, yeah.
going
I,
around.
I'd just like to expand a little bit on that one, because that got me really excited when you were telling me about that. You were onto it, yeah. That contraction that you're experiencing, Right? Don't worry about what the mind is saying. Stay with the physical sensations that occur. That that is the you in the thing, in the that. That is. It's almost like in a quantum physics way, or a scientific way, or a mushroom trip kind of way, where you become the object and the object becomes you. That is a literal transference of energy, if you like,
Mm,
that's happening there. That's that non-separation. That is the you in it and the it in you that you were right on the edge of. Yeah. You were more than
mm.
on the edge of. You were actually experiencing that. Yeah. So I would say, yeah, do that exercise a few more times and just go with that. And just notice what the mind does. Don't believe what it says or anything. Just notice what it does. Notice how when the mind slaps a label on it, that it cuts that separation. It
Mm.
creates a separation, rather. It
Yeah,
cuts
yeah.
that joining. Yeah.
Right. Yes, yes. Creates the duality. Yeah.
Yes, absolutely. Creates a duality is a perfect way of putting it. Yeah. Yeah. But don't go talking about that to people. I think you're mad. Uh,
Well,
unless you're,
my wife's not very interested in it either, so
uh, yeah, yeah. I get the impression from you that, yeah, you've got a hold of this idea that how life is an experiment, and just being curious about what's going on is a beautiful attitude. Perfect. Yeah. And that opens us up to learning skills to get more out of it. Yeah. It's so full, so incredibly full. There's so much. Yeah. Mm. Mm. I'm just amazed how I can go through this computer screen and feel you guys. 28 degrees in London, eh? I thought it would never get to that temperature there.
oh yeah, these days it's and it's May still. So
Yeah, yeah.
mm, we're not very well equipped for it here.
Mm. Mm. Yes, it's only 23 degrees here. Mm.
Oh, that's nice.
All right, well, I'm going to go to bed now. So thank you, everybody. It's good when
Thanks,
there's a
Thanks,
Vince.
few of
Vince.
Yeah.
us. Yeah,
Enjoyed
yeah.
that.
Thank
Take
Take
you.
care,
care,
guys.
guys. Take it easy.
Bye.